Hello and welcome back to Joby RC, and we are finally back on the build for the TRX4. Last episode was setting out the frame and the chassis for it, and this episode is basically I've got the axle for the rear, so rear axle. We're going to concentrate on the rear axle, and I've got some parts down here to build that for you. And starting with, we have some metal pieces for the main axle itself. So this is a metal version of the standard axle, and if you see right here, there's a place for a wire. So yes, this is the upgraded axles with the lock-in diff. So, and it's a full metal case, covering case as well. So you can hear it's metal. So that's your first piece, solid metal. And then we have the pieces to go connect those. So hot racing again, another hot racing piece to join that. This is the one that goes from this piece, goes on the end here, joins that there. And then from that, we have and this is the part when I would have shown you that part. But as you can see, changed t-shirt, had a shave, so yep, I'm in the future. This is the part I was gonna get. Yep, looks all great and has the tags and everything that I wanted from hot racing, but for some reason it's just completely out of stock and nobody knows when it's going to come back in. So I'm basically waiting on an answer to when they'll have it back in stock. So for now, we're just going to have to go with a plastic second-hand part from the same parts as the gears that I've got. So we'll go with that for now, and then we'll see down the line whether it comes back in stock. I might get it and chuck it in. It's only like a matter of just taking it apart. It may be the time when I've test driven it and it needs cleaning out again anyway, so I'll swap it out then. But for now, we'll just go with the plastic one and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, so here are all the pieces laid out for the front axle and the chassis in the back itself. And also you'll notice with the axles, I got some shield plates. So I'll get my fingers in here somewhere. These two here are to go on the axles themselves to shield those. You've then got in the middle here a center shield, which will cover that piece that I didn't get a metal piece for, so that's protected. And then you've got two side plates, which I believe go to on the skids here, which I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet, because obviously we've got a lot of plastic there. They might not fit, so see what happens with those. And then we've got all the gearing through the middle here for the front, and then your plates. And probably my favorite part now I've taken out the packaging is these, and you can see there's some pretty awesome shine on these. You're not going to see the inside, but that looks really cool. So that's going to be a nice finishing touch for that. So what we need to do now is get some parts into here and start fitting out this front axle. And the first job we've got to do is to grease and fit these gears. These gears are a sort of second-hand-ish part coming out of an old vehicle. So you probably see on here there is already bits of grease on there already. It is very clean because it came out of a brand new vehicle. But we'll add a little bit as well. Add a little bit of grease to that and chuck it in. And I will try and get them chucked in and then let you see how it all lays out and sits in there. So I won't show you me doing it because I'm not a great fan of showing me progressing through it. If you want to see it, let me know, but I'll just get it in there and then I'll skip to showing you what I did and if I had any problems. And we have one greased up gear set in there. So you basically start by chucking this rod through into the bottom of the casing, and then this whole set goes in on top of that, and then it basically engages that bottom one, and then this little plastic piece sits on top of in that groove, and that's what engages. You can just see it pushing in and out that locker, and that engages in and locks the gears or deactivates the gears, so you unlock and lock just by pulling the wire. So that's that, all greased up and ready to go. And now all I've got to do is just chuck the top casing on with the 4 bolts. You can see the holes through there, showing the light through. And then I will get on to putting the shafts in and the ends on. So I'll get on and do that. Okay, and I'm saying okay again, nightmare. And we now have the ends on. So ends on, axle shafts in, and that's another hot racing piece added. Again, they've got R and L on them, so you know, obviously it's mirrored in this, but you know what's going on. And it's pretty simple. The casing is showing you which way up it is with the writing anyway, so it's going to sit in the car like that, and then left and right as it is there. And those shafts, I basically just pumped some grease down the tube and then just pushed them in. Excess grease comes out and you just clean it up. And then 3 bolts in the end. Those bolts are flathead bolts, so you know which one's going to be on those. And those, because this casing isn't the most expensive casing in the world, you can see with these ones, these threads here, they look like they're pretty much painted over the threads, so the paint's going through the threads, so they are a little bit tight to get in, but it does act a bit more like a self-locking thread. So those have gone in, but they're probably going to be very difficult to get back out. Fortunately, they shouldn't need to come off ever again, so that should be it. They should be on there and they stay on there and probably won't need to come off ever again. So worst case scenario, if I can't get those screws out, I would have to change this casing unit and re-get that, which these are probably the cheapest parts anyway, so that's not too bad. So next job is to put the ends casings on and fit all the gears for that. So we'll get on with that and we'll fit all that up and show you the end with it all greased in and fitted, and I'll let you know if anything happens with that. And okay, so that's the end piece, one end piece in place. And I just thought I wanted to stop it there just to show you because it's starting to look really good. So you just chuck a load of grease in there, it's all good. And I will show you this end, how it's done. It's basically you can see the gear in there. You have to put that gear into this piece first. Then you put the bearing on and then the case over the top. And that's how that sits in there. And then it's basically now a case of just getting the other bearing in there, the other gear, sorry, in there. Tons of grease, whack the case on and do up all of these screws, which takes forever. So let's get this other one on there, and then maybe I'll chuck some standard wheels on it, give it a bit of a look and see what we've got. There you have it. That's your completed axle without the wheels on. So you can see the proper gold ends, and yes, the weight is pretty good on that. You can definitely tell the difference. And so that's without the wheels and with the set of wheels on. You may recognize these wheels. They were the ones from the original SCX10, and I thought they were a little bit too small. Again, they're probably a bit too small for this one, but it gives you an idea of what it's going to look like with some wheels on. So yeah, it does hide the one feature that I made a colour for it, the actual copper, but I think it's okay. It's enough. You can still see it enough to be something there. And I reckon if we could chuck this underneath the chassis, you're going to start seeing something that resembles a vehicle. So that's our rear chassis, and I just might happen to have the front ready to go. Still waiting on a couple of parts for that, so we'll have to wait for those to get the front going. But for now, that's a rear chassis, a rear axle with chassis, and we're looking good for a very nice vehicle indeed. So join us next time for the front axle, and we'll get that all done and get that in place. I might even have the arms to get them to fix in there, so they go in there, and we might even have a rolling chassis by then. So join us next time, and for now I will see you later. Bye bye.